Hello world, Cossy here with another week's roundup of geek movie news, starting off this week with Superman, the Man of Steel. Now, not so much news and more images. Another image of Henry Cavill on set in costume has been leaked online, and there it is. Now, two things stand out to me. Firstly, obviously, once again, he's not wearing those iconic red trunks. Looks like they've got rid of them for this costume, very much in the same way that DC has got rid of them in the new costume for the rebooted comic book character. It's very obvious from the Justice League of America issue 1 that came out last week that this is how DC wanted to present the modern age Superman. And so yeah, no more iconic red trunks. Secondly, the costume itself looks a lot more alien. Don't know if this is going to be a plot point. Maybe it was left to the young Kal-El by his Kryptonian father Jor-El, rather than made by his Earth mother Martha Kent. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, another picture of Henry Cavill in costume is online. Next up, we've got some news about Red 2. Now, Red, a movie I've mentioned before, is, for me, a brilliant movie. It's pretty cheap to pick up on DVD and Blu-ray now. For those who haven't seen it, you can go and grab it and watch it before this second one gets made. And it is definitely getting made. In fact, Bruce Willis is desperate to make Red 2 before he goes off to make Die Hard 5. Unfortunately, the original director, the director from the first Red movie, Robert Schwenkt, he is off making R.I.P.D., so he's not going to be involved in the second movie in the franchise. A lot of names have been bandied around as names to be possible replacements as director, but one that keeps coming back is Breck Eisner. His name keeps appearing all over the internet. No confirmation yet from him or from anyone involved in the project, but once I know, I'll be letting you guys know. But Red 2 is on its way. Speaking of Willis, I mentioned earlier Die Hard 5. Now, Die Hard 5 is definitely underway. Fox are pushing ahead with it. Bruce Willis is signed on again to star in the movie as McClane. And John McClane, obviously, you know, from the previous movies. This one is written by Skip Woods. Now, he was the screenwriter behind the A-Team movie and X-Men Origins Wolverine, a movie that I'm not a particular fan of. But yeah, so just to give you some background about the screenwriter, and it's picked up a new director. Now, it's going to be directed by John Moore, who directed the Max Payne movie. It was originally going to be directed by Noah Murrow, but he is now firmly off working on that 300 prequel that I mentioned a couple of weeks back, and he won't have time to direct Die Hard 5. So, there we go. Talking a bit about the plot of the movie, apparently it will involve McClane and his son going to Russia and being caught up in some sort of problem when they get there. Now, there have been quite a lot of rumours about this plot, that there could be a link between the Die Hard franchise and the TV series 24, which could involve seeing Kiefer Sutherland playing Jack Bauer in this movie. Nothing confirmed, but I think this would be a really interesting way to get Bauer onto the big screen. Maybe test the audience before what will obviously happen in a couple of years' time. We get a full-on cinematic 24 movie. So we'll just have to wait and see if that happens, but I think this could be a really good starting point cinematically for a character who's had a lot of success on television. Next up, some more news about Disney's adaptation of The Lone Ranger. Now, two sort of stumbling blocks come up again this week. Firstly, I spoke about the team behind The Lone Ranger, which is Johnny Depp, Gore Verbinski and Jerry Bruckheimer. They are obviously firmly behind making this movie. Disney wasn't happy with the budgets that they gave in. Now, they've got it down from about $275 million to about $210, $215. Disney still aren't happy. They don't want to spend that much money on a Western which might not recoup its costs. So they've gone back and asked for the group behind it to make further cuts, which could see Gore Verbinski actually not direct this movie. That brings me to the second problem, which is Johnny Depp. Now, Johnny Depp is signed on to play Tonto in this movie, and it looks like if Gore Verbinski is not directing it, Johnny Depp is going to walk away. Even though he is desperate to make this movie, he will not be involved with the project without Verbinski directing. So Disney might be causing themselves some problems. I mean, these are the guys, as I said before, behind the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and that's made a bucket load of money for Disney. You know, take a risk. You know, these guys have got a proven pedigree for you. They've made you millions and millions of dollars. Give them the 215 million. Let them make a movie that we all want to see. I mean, I certainly want to see it, and see if it makes money. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You've made plenty of other movies in the last couple of years that have made a bucket load of money. It's about time, you know, you took a risk, Disney. That's just me saying this, but yeah, that's what I think. Next up, some news on a film adaptation of the classical biblical story David and Goliath. Now, apparently, the two lead characters, David and Goliath, have been offered, the roles have been offered to Taylor Lautner and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Interesting choices. I am a big fan of Dwayne Johnson. I think he's a real good modern day action star, and he's got the pedigree from some of the films he's made in the last of the 10 years to take on that role. Don't know much about Lautner, not really seen many things with him in, not a Twilight fan, as you all know, don't believe in shiny vampires that can go out in the day. So, not sure about him, but you know, it's interesting. He could be the one actor who has a very varied career after this Twilight franchise, I think, rather than the likes of sort of Patterson and Stewart. So it would be interesting. From what's been reported so far online, the film itself will diverge a little bit from the biblical story and will be a sort of action, sort of adventure chase movie, with the ending being that climactic fight scene between David and Goliath. So different, interesting. We'll have to see what happens with it, but you know, it's early stages, and who knows? Lautner and Johnson could be taking those two very famous biblical characters to the big screen. Finally this week, some more news about The Wolverine, which is the sequel, hopefully, in my eyes anyway, a sort of semi-reboot to the Wolverine franchise after Wolverine Origins. Reports going around online that the script for The Wolverine is getting an overhaul by Mark Bombach. For those who don't know Mark Bombach, he was involved with writing the screenplay for the new version of Race to Witch Mountain, and he's going to be replacing or overhauling a script written by Christopher McCurry. Now, that name might not be familiar to you, but he was the screenwriter behind The Usual Suspects. So we're going for a totally different angle here, and I'm not really a big fan of going from someone who has the pedigree of writing something as amazing, and it is a fantastic movie, and those of you who haven't seen it, why you should see it, of The Usual Suspects, to someone whose most notable writing credit is writing the screenplay to the remake of a kids movie, and it wasn't even that good. But that's what Fox seems to be going for. They seem to be going from McCurry to Bombach, and hopefully he doesn't damage the script, because from what everyone has said, including Chris Claremont, the famous X-Men writer, the script is fantastic, but he will be doing an overhaul of it. Just so people know, the screenplay is about Logan, Wolverine, going to Japan. He's got amnesia, possibly from what happened to him in the first movie. but you know, we're not sure how much they're going to be connected. He's trying to find out about his past, about what's happened to him, about why he's the way he is. He gets caught up in the Japanese underworld, and that introduces the possibilities for a lot of characters. Apparently, the Silver Samurai is going to be involved. I hope that character will be. It's a big favourite of mine, villains-wise, from the X-Men comics. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's what's going on with the new Wolverine movie. Okay, as always guys, that's the end for this week, and you need to click on that like button, show me and everyone else just how much you liked watching this video. If you're not a fan of me on Facebook, down in the description box below will be a link to my Facebook fan page, so you can go and become a fan, find out what's going on, what's coming up in the world of geek movie news and it for my videos before anyone else. As always, favourite, subscribe, post this on all your social networking sites, send it to your friends, comment if you've got something to ask or something to say. You know, why not? Subscribe, like, favourite, comment, become a fan of me on Facebook, and then you'll know what's going on in the world of geek movie news. Until next time guys, au revoir.